Hi people, welcome to episode 3 of Luthier's Lunch Break. Hi, I'm Daniel from Devil & Sons Guitars and this is Luthier's Lunch Break, the compilation show for guitar building enthusiasts, made of short segments created by guitar builders, luthiers and guitar enthusiasts from all around the world. Now, this is episode 3, so I'm doing it a little bit different. We're still exploring what we want to do. Instead of me appearing throughout the show, I've just put some little animated cards up to separate some sections. Essentially, I've tried to divide the show into design ideas, tool tips, painting and finishing, wiring, just general things like that. Each episode you can see a variety of content, some return contributors, some new contributors, some people that might be regulars, some people that are one-offs. And don't forget, if any of these contributors inspire you or you enjoy their segments in any way, as well as leaving a comment in this video, go and check them out. In the description to this video, I'll put links to all of their different YouTube channels, social medias, websites. Support them as much as you can. They're doing this for free. We're trying to build a community, which gets me onto the point that if it inspires you to make content, get in touch. I am really open to any sort of content that anyone wants to provide. If you're enthusiastic, if you've got an idea you want to share, if you want to show what you've built and talk about how it works, let me know. At the moment, the show comes out every 2 weeks. You can find the link in the description to the playlist that shows all the episodes, and you can subscribe to it as a podcast. Anyway, that's enough of me chatting. Let's get on and start with some design ideas.
Hello guys, my name is Lars and we are at episode 3 on this series on how to draw a full-on plan for a guitar. And in this video, we are going to focus on the body. At the end, I decided to go for this design for the body, which is the first one that I draw. I like this more. So let's draw this with the proper scale. Let me make a change. Now in this case, you don't need to do this, but I will do it for show you exactly what I want to do. So I will take away this part of the center line right now. Now, to draw a body with the right proportion right at the get-go, you will need roughly 5 measurements, which are, I'll show you here, this distance, so it's the shortest point of the body, the widest point at the body, and then you need the distance between the bridge and the end of the body, where the lower horn ends and where the high horn. Now I found out that the shortest point of the body is usually located at 1/3 between the end of the fretboard and the bridge, and is 20 centimeters. Then it's the wider part, which is usually around the bridge line, and is 30 centimeters. The body in a guitar usually ends at 10 centimeters from the bridge, here it is, and the lower horn usually ends around the 18 frets, which in my case is right here. Now the higher horn usually ends at the 12 frets. In this case is a little bit weirder because it's kind of like a Telecaster, so it will be a lot shorter around the 17 frets, but is a good indication. And in fact, if I put the body design here that I take directly from here, I use a photo of the drawing that I did, and as you can see, it's right there. Now these measurements are not a set guide. Take it as a guideline to start your design. You can make a guitar smaller or bigger depending on the design that you go. I make guitars that were offset, and I have this part that was a lot smaller. And there are designs like headless guitar that are a lot smaller, usually shorter and smaller, and guitars that are bigger, like hollow body guitar, the old classic hollow body guitar, are a lot bigger than this. So take this as a general guideline to start your project, and then you can finesse everything. That depends just on your taste. Now I can remove this line and I will put the rest of the detail. Just remember this. The bridge line corresponds not to the end of the bridge, but at this line right here, where the string meets with the saddle. I also decided to put other detail, like the bevel, and with this, the body is done. Now it's time to work on the headstock.
Hello there, I'm Benjamin McGinty from Lighthouse Instruments up in Glasgow, and I thought for this week's edition of Luthier's Lunch Break, I think it's episode 3, I thought I'd take you through my process on staining. This is my Pharos model. It's the first one of the model itself for the company, but also number 11 for me. And I thought I'd take you through my staining of this Uisig burst, which in Scots Gaelic, depending on the dialect and region you're from, is Scots Gaelic for ember. And I really wanted the warmth and the brown tones of this to come through rather than being more of a red burst itself. Now for me, staining is a really rewarding process. It's really exciting. It brings another element of character to the timber itself out, but also gives you another creative flair too. Another part from mine being quite thematic instruments, I always match the electronics cavity and the head plate, or at least sections of it, to the same burst as well, using the same processes. So I use a US company called Kida Dyes, and they send out 5 different pigments in powder form or liquid form, I think you can buy as well. And I always get the powder form because I can keep a meticulous journal of mass of pigment to water ratio. I can keep a chart of what I've added to each other to be able to get and achieve certain colours. And then I can build up over time. For this one in particular, this 200-year-old felt top with a melamine lacquer that's just sort of like sinking into the grain to show, it's a lovely texture if I'm honest, but I really wanted to build up those darker hues with a black and sort of brown undertone, sanded things back and then built up the reds, the ambers and the browns on top of that to achieve this finish. So I hope you really enjoy it, and I hope someone out there finds it really interesting and exciting as well, because yeah, staining timber is a really fun process, so I hope you enjoy it. To start, I sand my top to 240 grit. This allows my ash to be able to absorb lots of this lovely stain and colour, while also raising the grain as it dries. The black here really is going to enhance the rippling and the curling and the flaming of that lovely maple and the concentric rings emanating from the middle pickup. We're going to add a brown on top of this, which will create a lovely sort of coffee kind of colour, which is going to be really complementary in the final hues when you're adding red and amber tones to the top, and this is exactly why I wanted to use this rather than a blue or a purple kind of hue. We're going to sand this to 320 grit, which gets rid of most of the top coat, but it allows that grain still to keep a hold of that lovely black colour, while we then build up our perimeter of black brown and sort of dilute our burst into the centre using a wet cloth that's just got water on it, as you can see there. We're then going to build that out with a lovely rich red crimson, going from this outside of the guitar to the interior, diluting it as we go, so we build up a seamless sort of burst that we're then going to enhance with a splash of amber in the centre and get the amber sort of distributed and diluted throughout to the edges. We're then going to build up some more red to create a lovely orange kind of burst that we'll see, keeping the amber central to that middle pickup, and go over all the outer perimeters again with a dark brown black mix that we've made, and build it up slowly, diluting as we go, creating this lovely ember burst, hence Uisig, meaning Scots for ember.
Hey guys, Eric with Mangle Guitars here. For a Luthier's lunch break, I've got another cheap tip for you. Check it out. What's cool about a Sawzall and building guitars? You can use it to shake your rattle cans, whether it be for paint or clear. Now let me show you. Easy as this. You get yourself a pipe clamp, a hose clamp, about 2 inches in diameter. That's what I went with. And then make sure your blade is long enough, and you just clamp the blade to the paint can or clear can. Now let me show you how this works. All you do is take your rattle can, and I position a little bit so it slides. So then you go, yeah, let me get a better position here. So you take your rattle can and your Sawzall and you pull the trigger and make sure it slides on something. And this basically shakes your paint. Now, how you do it and what speed you do it, it's completely up to you. Just want to make sure that the can doesn't fly off with a clamp and it doesn't, pierce the can, which would suck. for wherever you were painting, wherever you were shaking. But yeah, this is another cheap, cool idea for painting and shaking your paint. But yeah, it's Eric with Mangled Guitars, giving you tips on the cheap.
Hello again everybody. Even though time's getting on and I should be getting on with my GGO build, I thought I'd take some time out to make another video for Daniel on the subject of everyday objects in the workshop and kind of makeshift tools and things like that. One reason is because I thought I could actually illustrate some of what I'm going to talk about on the build that I'm working on at the moment. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. So the first one I've got for you today, as I threatened last time, is non-standard sanding blocks. And I'll probably have an item on this every episode I do, because I've got quite a few different ones. This one here is a blackboard rubber, or blackboard duster as they call it, which I obviously bought in a toy shop somewhere. I've cut it down to the size of a standard Abranet sheet. And the felt is a very good texture, a very good consistency for doing compound curves, like you'd find on the top of an instrument or the back, where you've got, you know, a curve running in both directions. There's just enough give in this. If you compare it with a hard block, you know, it basically rocks on the curve, so only touches a small area at once. This has got just the right amount of give to conform to those very gentle curves, and because the felt is actually a little bit wider than the wood, the edge of the block is quite good at you know, you can get it into a tight curve. The waist is easy. Even the curve of a cutaway like that can be sanded. So after I flattened the sides with much coarser grits and a pretty hard block actually, just to level things out, I very often use this for the final sanding later on in the process, you know, after all the binding's gone on. And as a bonus you get a little mini one for smaller areas. The second one is a wine cork, which this is a plastic one, which I think are actually slightly better because they tend to stay straighter when they come out of the bottle. Real cork ones often have a kink in them from the lip of the bottle or whatever. But again, the consistency is good. It's there's just a little bit of give in it. It's not as hard as a wooden dowel, and it's great for doing just again very tight curves, like, you know, the inside of the rosette or something like that. I prefer it to a wooden dowel anyway for a lot of this kind of work. To wipe off your sanding dust, of course you can use this kind of thing, a tack cloth, which work well, but they don't last forever and you have to buy them. To be honest, I've found an ordinary microfiber cloth works really well for getting rid of dust, and I don't ever use these actually. This is one of many uses of microfiber cloths, obviously, in the workshop, but it works great. Give it a try, especially for very fine dust. It works really well. Having said that, and this doesn't fall into the category of either makeshift tool or a everyday item, I use this a lot. An air duster. I bought it very cheaply from one of the big Chinese sites. I can't remember which one. And it's rechargeable, gives a very powerful jet of air, and it's great for blowing dust off surfaces or from the inside of instruments. You know, it's not expensive, worth every penny. The third one this time around is old toothbrushes. I hang on to them for general cleanup, but particularly for glue cleanup. I use a lot of hide glue in my work, and when you've clamped a joint together and the glue is still liquid, a wet, just a bit of jar of water or something, you just wet the brush and that will clean up the hide glue really well. And you can dry the area afterwards, because obviously you shouldn't leave standing water around. If you imagine this is a plate on being glued up with braces in a go-bar deck, so you've got your braces and lines of go-bars under tension. It's sometimes quite difficult, not on an instrument this size, because the brush would easily reach halfway in, but there is a danger of, on a bigger instrument, of your hand kind of knocking into the go-bars and them sort of pinging off and digging into your plate and, marring it. So I've made a longer one by attaching it to a length of dowel. This is actually a tip I got from Roger Hagström in Sweden. So this can reach in between rows of go-bars on a much bigger instrument, and there's no danger of your hand kind of knocking the go-bars off. For tight bond, which I also use, in fact what I very often use is just this lollipop stick, which I've sharpened to a point. This works quite well, but you have to keep wiping the glue off. A straw works very well. This isn't my idea, by the way. In fact, quite a few of what I'm talking about in this series aren't my ideas, and I don't claim any great originality for the ones which are, but this works very well. You just cut the straw off to a point, and the cavity in the straw acts as a kind of reservoir for the glue. If you leave tight bond for 10 or 15 minutes, it just partially sets, but to the side of sort of consistency where it'll just peel off. And at that point, you can use the straw to just clean up the intersection of the join between the two pieces. This works very well. As I say, not my idea. So that was it for today. I hope you found something useful in there, or if not this time, then next time, or even last time. As I say, I don't want this to become just me and my ideas. I'd like it to become a discussion and to get input from other people, either in comments or even, as I said in last week's episode, you could make your own video on the subject if you think it's interesting enough, or you've got a brilliant idea for something. Anyway, until the next episode, goodbye for now.
I'll be a gentleman and not mention this guitar's brand, but it's a Gretsch, and what Gretsch did, was super glue, CA glue the bridge directly to the finish, which is about 14th thou thick. So what you're seeing here is not the glue, but the finish stuck to the underside of the bridge, because finish wasn't meant to take 170 pounds of pressure. There's my dogleg chisel. If you don't have one, buy one. Then I'm carefully scalpeling the corners, and this is the most delicate part. So I'm basically doing a 100% footprint on this bridge to make it stick better, and I eventually epoxied it down and it worked really well. But yeah, do not ever stick a bridge to the finish with CA glue or any other glue. because it'll fail.
Okay, I got this question right here. Do I have any African guitars? Those are guitars that are made in Africa out of gas cans by poor people. In fact, one of my tattoos right here is an African, where is it? Right there. An African type of guitar. This was a 3-string guitar made by my friend Wise. Wise was a musician in Liberia, and I came to know him through some other people online and ended up supporting him for a while. This is Wise's guitar. The body is made from an old paint thinner can. The stick is a piece of wood that he found, and he would use a machete to cut it down. The neck goes into the can right here, and he would use aluminum foil to fix the spacing. You got to remember, Wise was legally blind, and he did all this. So the neck comes in here, he nailed it to the top of the can, and there's another piece of wood going to the bottom as the brakes. And then he tied the strings to the back here. That's all this is. This string here and this string here are brake cables. This one broke on its way from Africa to my place, and that is a guitar string that is the wrong thing, trust me. But these, yeah, Wise actually took brake cables and pulled them apart. So for his low string, it would have 2 or 3 winds. For his middle string, it would have 2 winds. And for his high string, there would be 1 winding. And yeah, as you can see, those are rusty nails holding the brake cables. Let's go down here and see, he tied them like that.
Come and take you from the supermarket. A very good. Oh, very nice. Very nice. A very unique for you, for me and you till I be here. A very delicious. In la Biblia, Banga, Kakata, Likiana, Babulu,
Wise made 4 of these before he passed away, and because I was one of his supporters, helped him get a house and things, they sent one to me. As you can see, the tuners are nothing but bent nails. And in fact, there's a crack in the headstock here, which is preventing this one nail from going any tighter. In fact, that's why Wise would build a new guitar every once in a while, is his tuners wouldn't work anymore because the headstocks would crack. Frets are nothing but coat hangers that he used a pair of pliers to cut. He also used those pliers to pound in nails to hold those coat hangers. And as you notice, they are not perpendicular to the neck. They're every which way, but it works.
When the bright morning star, when the precious star, it went to the new funky who are born in Berry. Grape.
My name's Shane Speal. I've got more We Say videos. Go check them out and like and follow for more.
I'm just popping back in here to say don't forget to go and follow these contributors. Show them your support, build the community, say hi from me. And if you enjoy what I'm doing, you can support me through making more of this by buying some merch like these shirts. I've put links in the YouTube shelf, but also just sharing this video, leaving a comment is brilliant. The more people that we can get this to who are interested, the better. We're there to inspire, to educate, to build a community, to form friendships. Anyway, that's enough for me. Let's get back on.
I often don't see guitar builders using flux. Though it isn't essential or necessary, it is probably best practice to find something to break down the oxides on the metal surface. What is flux? Flux is designed to improve electrical contact and mechanical strength in solder joints. Do you really need flux? No. But in order to ensure a strong bond, you need to have a surface free of metal oxides. No matter how much you clean a metal surface, you will still need some sort of flux for the solder to stick. Without flux, a solder joint will not be strong or conductive enough. I moved over to the very thin 0.8 diameter solder. It works great for soldering microcontrollers and circuits. It's composed of 2% rosin, but there's just not enough flux in it, which is why I gravitated towards the flux pen. Almost all solder has a rosin flux core. If you use solder with a flux core, you don't need a flux pen. But adding additional flux has another benefit. I've noticed that when heating solder to its melting point, the solder chases the surfaces where flux is applied. And it's because of this feature that I use it every time I'm soldering. There's always some flux residue, and I just clean it off with some alcohol, and it comes right off with just 1 or 2 scrubs. You don't really want to add a lot of flux. It'll just burn and turn a golden brown. You just want to lightly apply it onto the surface. My workflow has increased significantly after using flux. Soldering joints is just a lot faster, a lot cleaner, and takes really no time at all. Look at that. A perfect joint, perfectly filled. And you could see almost the solder chasing the flux. It goes to where the flux is. Solder typically wants to go to a surface free of oxides. I rarely see guitar builders clean their contact surfaces or their joints, and I certainly don't see anyone using flux. Again, it really helps contribute to making soldering a much faster process. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching, and take it easy.
Hi, I'm Glyn. This is Mr. Glyn's Pickups, and today I'd like to talk to you about pickup phase. So that's what it is, what it isn't, why you need to know this stuff, and what possible use is it. Okay, so firstly, what it isn't. Phase has nothing to do with this. also not really anything to do with this. Okay, that's what it isn't, but what is it? Well, what it is to do with is the signal that comes out of your guitar pickup, or more relevantly, pickups. So the phase of a single pickup is kind of irrelevant. It only matters when it's in relation to a second pickup or a second coil. Rightio, here we go. This is what it is. Your pickup produces roughly a sine wave, like AC current, yeah? So if you imagine it's goes up and then down and then up and down and off it goes. Now, that's in one phase. So the phase is when that goes up first and then down. Now, if you had at the same time another pickup running with the opposite phase so that it went down first and then up, you can imagine those signals would cancel each other out. And they kind of do, but not completely. Now, two pickups will be hearing a different part of the string. They're not hearing an identical signal. So the part of the signal that they're hearing that is the same will get cancelled out, but there is some stuff remaining. So what you end up with is a drop in signal strength, of course, because a lot of it's cancelled out, but you also end up with a kind of thin, quacky kind of sound. Lovely. Here I am talking about it. Let's get a guitar and we'll actually do it. Okay, here we have a Stratocaster, but I'm sure you knew that. This has lace sensor pickups. These are not my pickups, but hey ho. And it's in the position on the switch, be it 2 or 4, where we have the neck pickup and the middle pickup on together. It's very much a go-to setting for a lot of Strat players. So clean, this is what it sounds like. Yeah. And here is it. Here's the quack test. Right, remember that sound. Okay, now by the amazing powers of editing, I have instantaneously reversed the phase of the middle pickup. So now the middle pickup and the neck together will be out of phase. This is actually what out of phase sounds like. A lot of people call that position out of phase anyway with the Stratocaster, and that's not right. This is what out of phase actually sounds like. Yeah? And here is the quack test. You can hear big signal drop, a lot of cancellation out between the two coils. What it's left with is a thin quacky sound. Now, the further apart those pickups are, the less of an effect that is. So if this was a Telecaster and the two pickups were out of phase with each other, there would be less of that thin quackiness. But with a Strat, the neck and middle pickup are pretty close to each other physically, so they're hearing a much more similar part of the string. So you get that thin quack. In some instances, it can be useful. I don't think there's a lot of use for it with a Stratocaster, but there we go. Now, how do you test for that? How do you know that you've wired your pickup in phase? There is another video I have made which explains that. You need to watch that now, don't you? Thank you.
The Guitar Builders Collective is a group of like-minded people from all around the world at different stages of their guitar building journey. You can join us over on our forum to seek advice or share tips on guitar building processes, materials and tools, or just to share your builds. On YouTube, we have a regular podcast of guitar building chat where you can join the live stream or watch back on past episodes. Our Instagram page shares posts of members' builds and links you direct to their accounts. And for those of you on Facebook, we've got a private group that you can join, share and chat along with. The Guitar Builders Collective is a welcome and open space for all, so do pop by and say hi.
Hello everyone. So, as I said in the last episode that I was in of Luthiers Lunch Break, the first job was to get this guitar all nice and clean. Now, I found a photo of how bad it was, and I am ashamed that I let it get to this state. So as you can see, the headstock is just covered in a thick amount of dust. I honestly don't know what on earth I did to the fretboard, but it was just covered in dust and grime. So that was nasty, and the body just looked horrible. The Dunlop starter cleaning kits you can get hold of, I think I got mine off Amazon, that comes with body polish, fretboard conditioner, string cleaner and a cloth. It really can get your guitar nice and clean. This one I had to focus on the fretboard and the pickguard because they were the two most obvious things that looked pretty bad. And I did it in a certain way that I've done a couple of times on my channel, so be sure to go over there and have a look at my BC Rich Fender video. And then once all that was clean, I got to move on to the electronics. So this switch is not the original switch that came on this guitar. A couple of reasons. Main reason is the original switch, I don't know why it was having such issues going onto the bridge pickup. It just seemed to cut out, but with me not having a local shop, I just kind of gave up with it. Then my very good friend Crouch introduced me to active pickups. So Crouch is the guy who my Grape guitar build this year is for, and he very shoddily installed a Seymour Duncan Blackout bridge pickup into another guitar, and I was just hooked on the active pickup sound. So I went out and bought a neck pickup of the Blackout set, so obviously I completed the set, and I was going to install it into that guitar, but they kind of just sat there for years and didn't really do anything with them. And it wasn't until I started doing all the work to this, I looked at the pickups and I was like, ooh, they've got a matte finish to them, that'd look really cool against the matte body of this guitar. So I decided to install them into this one. But as I say, I really can't solder a wiring diagram, I can't make sense of it. I tried to for the longest time, but then I stumbled across a particular product from a certain manufacturer. Now, with you looking at this guitar, and if you know my channel as well, you're probably going to guess what I'm talking about here. But that particular product made everything that I've done from this point possible. I don't think I would have done half as much as what I've done now if it wasn't for them. But that's all I've got time for, so be sure to join me in my next appearance by subscribing to Delvin's YouTube channel, and go on to my channel, check out some of my other videos. I'll see you guys soon.
Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. There'll be more in 2 weeks' time. I'm looking for new contributors, so don't forget to let me know if you're interested. Please help spread the word of this by dropping a link in the forums that you're part of over on Reddit, X, Threads, Instagram, Facebook. The more we can get it out there, the more we can build this community and inspire and support each other. Until next time, happy strumming.